Good evening, everybody. Having a little difficulties over here, but hopefully they'll get straightened out pretty soon. How's everybody doing today? Um, Today I wanted to talk about prejudicial bullying. And I had a video I wanted to play. I'm hoping it will play before I go into my topic actually on exactly what is prejudicial bullying it is. Uh, if anybody would like to come up and talk, that's the website. You're more than free. Welcome. But today I wanted to play this video. I had ran across it. Uh, it's a police video. And so we're going to start out with police bullying. And let me see if I can get that up and going. A lot of times I like to do my videos before I actually talk about my topic. And I found this to be real interesting. And so if you don't like, this may not be comfortable for a lot of people. So if you don't feel like you may be comfortable, don't watch it. Please remove our children because I don't want anybody children seeing this. It could not be suitable for children. All right, let's go.
So we can provide you guys with some facts as we know them today concerning a use of force incident that happened at 95th Street and Vicar Avenue yesterday involving two of our officers. At the conclusion, Chief Vittoria will be taking a few questions, and at this time I'm going to turn it over to Chief Vittoria.
Thank you everybody for coming. All right. On July 27th at approximately 5:30 p.m., an Oakland officer, while on patrol, observed an occupied vehicle in the 9500 block of Austin. He could detect an odor of burnt cannabis emanating from the vehicle with no front registration. As he made a U-turn to investigate, the vehicle also made a U-turn and entered the parking lot at 9545 Southwest Highway. The officer initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle. As he approached the vehicle, he could detect the odor of burnt cannabis. He first spoke with the driver and requested him to step out of the vehicle so he could pat him down. The driver complied, and after being searched, stepped to the rear of the vehicle. The officer then asked the rear driver's side passenger to exit the vehicle. The passenger was a 17-year-old male juvenile of Middle Eastern descent. He appeared to be nervous and had an accessory bag draped over his shoulder. When requested by the officer to place his hands on the car, he took off running. He was apprehended by an assisting officer at 95th and Vicar. The officer was able to take him to the ground, and a struggle ensued. The offender immediately grabbed his bag and tried to open it. He was given verbal commands which he did not comply. The initial officer then arrived. Fearing that he was reaching for a weapon in the bag, the officers attempted to physically gain control of his hands. He would not comply and continued to attempt to access the bag. The offender was then drive-stumped and taken into custody. A gun was discovered in the offender's bag, a Raven Arms P225 .25 caliber semi-automatic weapon. It was also loaded with 3 rounds of ammunition. The offender was transported to our detention center, where a THC vape cartridge was also located on his person. He subsequently admitted to smoking it earlier. The offender and officer were both then transported to Christ due to injuries sustained during the incident. This is still an open investigation and charges are pending. Now we'll play a video of our car cameras for you, and then I'll take some questions after that.
Hey, Ray, pause it for 1 second. Can we kill the lights for this portion? Kind of have to see the lights on. So at this point,
Can you back up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right when you pull that, make that right turn.
what's important to note in this part of the video, you can see the subject's right hand. He maintains constant control of that bag. He's not releasing that bag as they're giving him, as the officers are dealing with him and giving him commands. He's still trying to gain access to that bag. All right. The officer's trying to pull his arm out, still can't gain control of that.
Put your hand behind your back. Do it now.
Yeah, press point.
Pause.
Pause, Rick.
And as the third officer responds, you can tell him saying pressure point, which is in a striking maneuver. It's a pressure point that they put behind the ear to try and gain compliance. Okay, Rick.
Do it now!
Hand behind your back.
That's the taser.
Got it.
Hold on. Then they were able to talk.
But he doesn't stop resisting them until he's taken. They search him.
What happens to the audio at this point?
1 second. And just at this point here is where he pulls the gun out of the bag.
Lights, please. So as DC better said, I'll take a couple questions.
Couple questions. First of all, do those officers have body cameras?
No, we don't have body cameras.
So this is the only video that exists of that incident from the police department?
Yes, we only have in-car cameras at this time.
And so that person's question, what happened to the audio at the end of that video?
That I don't know.
It must have been edited out. You can see if you can get a copy with the additional audio in there.
Have the officers been involved in this? Have they been placed on paid leave, and leave? or-
No, not at this time. The one officer still hasn't been released medically.
What injury did you suffer?
Honestly, he has just gotten back from his doctor's appointment. I haven't seen the notes yet, so I couldn't tell you. No, both him and the offender went to Christ Hospital last night. Our officer was released slightly after midnight, but then was told to follow up with our occupational health today. And he had an afternoon appointment, and so I honestly don't know what his status is as of yet.
Chief, I just like,
Yes.
two parts. A total in all, how many officers at the end, from the point of running and picking up the gun, responded to his call? That's the first question. How many officers in all?
I only know of the 3 that are on camera. I haven't had a chance to look at all the radio logs yet, but there were several officers that were responding when he was calling out a foot pursuit. I don't know the exact number. I would, if I had to guess, I'd say it'd be about half a dozen.
Okay. Is there any investigation of the
Yeah,
officers?
one at a time. Let's be respectful of each other.
Looking at that video, from
Mhm.
what your training shows, can you explain to us what was done right, in your opinion?
Once they feared for their safety and they had reasonable suspicion that he was armed with a weapon in that bag and he was not complying, and he was trying to open that bag, they were in fear of their safety that he had a weapon. So at that point in time, they used control tactics. They used leg strikes. They used strikes. They tried to release his hands. He wouldn't release them. The second officer then drive stunned him with a taser, which is part of his training. At that point in time, the offender then complied. He was cuffed, and then, as you saw, he was put in the squad car.
At any point did the officer say anything about, do you have a weapon? Because I don't think I heard that on that video. Did they ask him if he had a weapon or?
I believe they were just telling him to release the bag, show us your hands.
What's your response to the community today calling for those officers to be fired for excessive?
I would say let the investigation take its course.
Are they being investigated, the officers' conduct?
There will be a use of force review, yes.
Who's gonna do that?
Right now, it's internal.
Chief, Major, Officer, I just have a couple of questions. So, I'm trying to understand the guys on the ground, and it appears that, I know you're saying that he was reaching for his bag. Of course, we can't really see that from our.
I know, it's tough to see from both angles.
I understand, but it appears that he's on his back.
No, he was on his stomach.
On his stomach, but you're saying your officers feared that there was a gun inside.
Yes.
How did they know that? If he had never
The,
gone.
the way that he ran and the way when they chased him and then when they eventually caught him, he initially went for that bag and tried to open it.
But at that time, Chief, you all did not know what was in the bag. You just knew that he had a bag, correct?
At that point, yes.
Okay, can you talk about the apparently, I spoke to one woman who said that there have been tensions in this community with Arab Americans for some time. Can you speak to that about just the protests that happened today, 200 or 300 people, a lot of folks saying that this is racist. I know you've been, how long have you been here?
2 years.
2 years. Have you all done anything to kind of quell the relationships between the Arab community?
I have known of no other racial issues with the Arab community. We're a very diverse community now. We have African Americans, we have Arabic, we have all kinds here. There has been no protests of this kind since George Floyd, the summer of George Floyd.
Well, finally, can you just speak to folks who say, folks in the Arab community say that they feel oftentimes that they are unfairly targeted by this police department? Can you speak to that?
I have no knowledge of that. At any time, if they feel they've been targeted, they're more than welcome to come in and speak to a supervisor.
If this isn't targeted, there's even charges are pending against that 17-year-old?
Yes.
What charges?
Well, we can first need to interview him, and with the juvenile system, we have to actually physically talk to him first, and he has to release from the hospital before we can proceed with our investigation.
But you intend to charge him?
Oh, yes.
And what's the status of the officers involved, the 3 officers in that situation that they're doing?
Like I said, one went to the hospital, another was injured, the other is back at work.
And how were they placed on initial review?
No.
Can you tell us anything about those officers, how long you've been with the department?
The one officer has been with the department for approximately 6 years. The second one, he's been with us about 12. He's a field training officer, and the third one, he's probably been with us about 15 years.
So several dozens.
Yes, there's experience there.
And then this is the gun you say that was in that bag?
That's correct.
Was it loaded at the time?
Yes, it had 3 rounds of ammunition.
I think I saw the officer that was opening the doors, the guys were outside today. So he was back to work, he did not miss, so I'm assuming none of these officers, and it sounds like you're describing an arrest that went right. Do you see anything on his face that indicates these officers did anything to them excessive?
Well, like I said, we do reviews on all use of force, but we need to talk to them first. And the one that hasn't been medically cleared, I haven't been able to talk to. So we will do a use of force review, and if we see anything wrong with it, we'll take a look at it.
But Chief, at this point, do you see anything? Is there anything in what you've seen so far? Obviously, you want to do more investigation. Is there anything that you see that concerns you? Or at this point, since these officers are still on duty, you feel that they acted properly?
Yeah, what concerns me is a 16-year-old running around with a gun. That's what concerns me.
Chief, last question for me. I understand the 16-year-old, but we'll talk to that family. Specifically, your officers. It's concerning to a lot of people, specifically, in the community that
I've already answered this question.
I haven't answered yet. There's a guy on the ground. They hit him in the head several times and tased him. Is there anything from here on out in terms of training that you would have done differently? That's all. In all honesty.
No.
Can you talk about the extent of the officer's injury? You say went to the hospital. I'm trying to figure out in the video, where do we see injuries to the officer? Is something that we did not see?
Like I said, I can't comment on it because I haven't seen the medical reports.
So did they just go to the hospital because it was a tussle on the job?
Yeah, they were injured in the incident. They went to go get checked out. And like I said, they were released late last night. He went to his doctor's appointment today, so I literally haven't talked to him yet.
Chief, I just listening to you said one of the either the 12-year veteran or the 15-year veteran. Can you elaborate a little bit more? You say he's involved in training.
Yes.
What type of training, and does he actually get involved in training to the few situations that we're looking at right here?
Yes,
Speak about his training.
he's a field training officer.
Okay.
So he trains new recruits.
And was that the original officer that responded, or third one? What is his role in this?
I believe it was the second.
The second. So he was involved in the original pursuit following this kid after.
No, I guess he would have been the first one at 95th and McVicker.
Okay, so he was first at the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So the field training officer was the officer that initiated the traffic stop?
No.
All right,
Okay. Wow, that was very interesting. So the police chief didn't see anything wrong with what happened. What got me was the police officer went to the hospital along with the victim, and I don't see where he could have got hurt unless it was from him beating that young boy to death, because he couldn't really move by the time they finished beating him. So I'm assuming, is this how you train? And the guy said, is this how you train your officers? And pretty much he's like, yeah, this is how we train people, to beat you senseless. And I'm like, this is crazy. So technically, I don't know what kind of training that is. I don't believe it needs to be any more training. I think you just got crooked police officers that want to hurt citizens. And that brings it down to what I want to talk about today, which is prejudicial bullying. Bullying is more about power. Who's got the power? And when I look at this situation, I see the police always got the power, because we as citizens, we don't have the power they have. And a lot of kids that has been bullied in school turn out to be bullies in the workforce, which leads me to wonder, have some of these police officers been bullied during high school or in middle school? And now they're on the police force, so now they can bully everybody else. Because if you're not careful, you being a victim can turn around and you become a bully yourself, because somebody has bullied you. But if you ain't careful, you'll turn around and you be bullying other people. And so oftentimes when I see situations like that, it makes me wonder, were they bullied in high school? It goes deeper, because what I saw was two police officers just beating this guy, this young boy. He wasn't but 16 years old. Did he deserve that? I think we as parents need to teach our children to comply with the police. That's the number one. I don't care what you've done wrong. Just give yourself up. I'd rather you come home safely and unharmed than to come home in a body bag. And it doesn't matter about your color, because I've seen it all the way around. Prejudicial bullying and discrimination bullying is based on prejudice towards people because of a particular aspect of their identity. So we're going to look at the example of that. Your sexual orientation, your gender identity, your race, your religious, your disability, or your beliefs. Um, People often target people for the wrong reason, and it's not a particular color problem, it's a people problem. I don't think racism care what color you are. I think it's learned behavior. It's not you not born to be racist. Um, it's learned behavior. You learn how to hate a person for different reasons, and they've never done anything to you, but you want to bully them because they're not like you. Their identity is different than yours. They don't fit in, and it leads to hate. Bullying is a result of hate. And so for me to see the two police officers beating this child, you already had him down. You didn't de-escalate the situation. You kept beating him till he was unconscious. You've already tased him. He really wasn't doing anything but laying there. You're saying he resisting arrest, but from my eyesight, I don't see him resisting. I see him laying there because you done beat the crap out of him. I mean, you had the handcuffs on him. What else can he do? Um, he shouldn't have had a gun. No, he shouldn't. But that's where your parents come in. And parents, you got to talk to your children. Everybody want to bear arms, but then you're leaving your weapons where your children can get a hold to it. And that's the parents' fault. Maybe you don't need to bear arms if you can't keep it up from away from your children, because now children are getting hold of guns. And then we want to say, well, it's mental health. Well, some of it's mental health, but some of it parents being careless. And you're leaving your weapons where your children know where your stash is. It's just like at Christmas time. Everybody knew where the Christmas presents was. Mom thought she would be hiding them, but they wasn't really hid because ain't too many places you can hide them in the house. So that's just like with weapons. I hate the gun situation. I don't think they should take guns away. I think we got a right to protect ourselves. I do believe that. But I also believe that parents need to be more responsible for their children and these weapons out here. Because a 16-year-old should never have had a gun. That's just leading to trouble. He's not trying to lead himself to college. He's trying to lead himself to jail. Why do you have a gun? But still, the police shouldn't have beat him like they beat him. They beat him senseless. And the guy asked, was it about his race? They're saying that they have problems in the community about Arabs. Was it a racial issue? Was it racial profiling? Why did y'all stop them? You say a vape pen. Well, did you see the vape pen? How do you know they even had a vape pen? What was your purpose for even pulling them over? Or did you just see their nationality and that was a reason to pull them over? Because you are singling out people to pull over. This discrimination. And so I think it comes to educate, being mindful, especially when it comes to our children, and making sure that they make it home safely, is to tell them, please comply with the law. And sometimes you still don't make it home safely. I've seen them still kill people. And that's heartbreaking for me. I don't like stuff like that, but nobody life should be taken, and I don't care who you are. To me, I say they need to look at the training of police officers. I don't think it's a training problem. I think it's a racism problem. They got hate in their heart. They've been bullied through school and they're bullying citizens. And if that so be the case, they need to be terminated. We don't need that out on the road. And like the guy say, how did you even know he had a gun? You didn't know that when you pulled them. You seen him running. Well, you know he had something that he didn't want to be caught with because he took off running, scared to death. But he should have never had it in the beginning. But even him running, probably because he was afraid, did he deserve to be beat down by the police? No, he did not deserve that. He just didn't deserve that. That wasn't their job to beat him senseless or put him in a coma. And then you saying, well, the officer had to go to the hospital for what? I didn't see him get hurt. I guess his knuckles was hurting for beating him. That's the only thing I see the injuries you could have sustained because I didn't see you get hurt. I guess his hands was hurting where he keep pounding in him. And then you say the other guy just went back to work like it's a normal day and nothing's wrong. And so I guess that's just being mindful. Bullying, prejudicial bullying uh, is defined as a bully harassment based on a disability. These disabilities can be physical, developmental, emotional, physical, verbal, social skill challenges. Intolerance, environmental challenges. So then you may say, what is prejudicial bullying? The answer to that would be difficult when it comes to writing this down, or just, it could be, say, for instance, you witness a woman at a park uh, using her white privileges as a weapon to get someone, say a black man, arrested. And she feels that because she is Caucasian and she feels that her status is higher than him because he's African American. And I think sometimes they call that Karen. Uh, they want to use their color to get somebody in trouble. But even though the person never did anything wrong. Or you can look at where another woman killed her 9-year autistic son. And then she turned around and blamed 2 black men for doing it, as if they done something wrong when they didn't do anything. Technically, she finally admitted that she killed her own child because he was disabled and she wanted to be free. It had nothing to do with 2 black men killing them. But oftentimes people would put that stigma on African Americans. George death, that was real painful to see how he killed him on national TV. I didn't like that. And then to find out, I think that was more, that wasn't, the more I studied that case, it was It was more, it wasn't even all about race because they knew each other because they worked at the same nightclub. I don't know why he killed him because it wasn't all about race. He didn't like the fact that he was with a Caucasian female and he's seen them both at the club? Because from my knowledge, both of them worked at the same club. They knew each other. So I never really understood that with I think it was more to it than what we saw. Maybe he didn't want him talking to a white woman, but nowadays prejudice, we got to get through it. You got mixed couples all over, biracial couples. They're everywhere now. We've got to get through it. I can't hate nobody for the color of their skin. I got to treat everybody right. And I can't judge anybody. Who am I to judge? I believe in judging the book by its cover and treating people um, the way they need to be treated. Okay, wait a minute. Hold 1 second. Wait a minute. Hey, knock on two. Upstairs. All right, I'm doing a show. Why is prejudicial bullying still happening? Why are we still dealing with issues of racism? I think it's strong. I think it had died down. And then people just start coming out the woodworks with more hate, just letting it be shown, not afraid to hide it. I'm racist. It is what it is. And I don't understand why. How can I hate you for the color of your skin and you've never done anything to me? I think you have to, if somebody's never done nothing, that's why I keep saying it's learned behavior. But prejudicial bullying, just like I say, it's when someone tries to gain control or power over you. And it can be hurtful. It can be humiliating actions. They're targeting certain individuals for their race, religions, sex, gender, disability. It includes bullying people that they target, the LGBTQ community. Definitely are bullied a lot. People just don't like them for what they choose, but if that's their choice, I mean, who am I to prejudge anybody? I gotta love people for who they are. It's stereotype, and I don't want to stereotype anybody. But it involves your behavior towards treating somebody different because of what they believe in or their religion, because they don't believe in the same thing we believe in. And it's okay that we all are different. We all have a right to be different. That's what makes the world go around. If we all was alike, what kind of world would we have? Probably a lot better than what we're dealing with now. But you got people mad at religious because some people are religious and some people are non-religious. It's all about power. You got the Catholics, Baptists, Presbyterian. I'm wondering, well, if y'all praying to the same God, we all should know what's right and what's wrong. But it's just verbally mistreating people. It's a form of abuse. In high school, 33% of the LGBTQ youth have been bullied. And that was according to the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. And 27.1% have been cyberbullied, which is more than their heterosexual peers. So that means if you are gay, lesbian, bisexual, you are more likely to be bullied than somebody that's straight. And it shouldn't be that way, but it is. So that boils down to, what are we teaching our children? Because it's got to start somewhere in order to stop it. I don't think it will ever totally be stopped, but we can bring these numbers down. And it starts with being aware and educating each other. Like I say, prejudice is not, you wasn't born that way. It's learned behavior. And you don't have to harass somebody because they're different than you. There's nothing wrong with them being different. A lot of times you got in the police force, I think they're more or less focused on people, or you hear it a lot about race. Some people, the the African American community, the Latino, the Middle East, Asian, mistreatment. The police mistreat Caucasian. I don't think they discriminate. Uh, I've seen them do Caucasian just like they do African American. That's why I say it's not a particular color issue, a nationality issue. It's a community issue. And we as a community needs to be fixed. It needs to stop. I don't, in my opinion, the reason why these police killings are still commonplace in 2020 is particularly due to prejudicial bullying. And there are several reasons why prejudicial bullying is due to race has led many unarmed Black police shootings, because they have lack of accountability. Nobody wants to be accountable. And it's even worse when the police chiefs say, well, I don't see nothing wrong with beating this little boy senseless. I never got that. The Michael Brown shooting, that was another one. I think when I'm not going to go with the president, so who did the best as far as trying to do something different. Uh, I think I've heard them say it, training, 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 and I don't think it needs to be any more training. I think people are racist. They're just racist, and that's just who they are. And after you get a certain age, that's just who you are, you know. People can't change, and the reason people can't change, because until you see a need to change, you'll never change. So I'll say that again. People don't change because they don't see a need to change. So in order for me to change, I first have to see a need that I need to change my behavior. And if I don't see that, then I'm going to continue to do the same thing that I've been doing. And when it comes to racism on the police force, they're not going to change. That's who they are. And if they've been bullied through high school and now they're bullying citizens, uh, and police probably got some kind of oath that they don't tell. You're not gonna tell on your partner out here abusing. You sitting there looking at him, but you're not gonna say, "Man, that's enough. You're going too far." You already got him in handcuffs. You ain't got to beat him senseless. You know, because then you afraid that he gonna bully you when you get back to the station. So bully just keeps on bullying. They probably bully each other at the police force. And that's why a lot of police officers are afraid to come forth. I don't believe it's all police officers that are bullies, but I do believe there are a handful in everybody department that are bullies. And people see it and won't say anything. Racial bias. The racism is due to prejudice, discrimination against someone due to their race or based on their beliefs. And we have a lot of racist police officers out here, district, they nationwide, they're everywhere. But I feel they do not need to be any more training. I personally feel like they need to be terminated because they're not changeable. I don't think that you need to uh, go and say that I'm friend to when somebody's bullying somebody, you're not friend to change. They can do all the classes they want, but until you see a need yourself to change, you just go into class taking up time because your boss told you to go. But it really doesn't mean anything when you get out in the streets. And that's why when they say put on the body cameras, a lot of cameras are turned off. If you notice, most cameras are turned off when it's a shooting because they're covering their butt. And I think in cases like that, if your camera is turned off, it should be automatic dismissal. If you turn your camera off, you're automatically fired. Because to me, that's saying that you're out here doing something on the job and you don't want nobody to know. And that means you're a dirty police officer. So what do? We keep protesting, we keep marching. I did hear somebody saying something about some training, implicit bias, unconscious bias. I think it's a lot of that. I think a lot of people are racist and not even aware that they're racist. It's called unconscious bias, implicit bias. We all have it. I don't think it's just one particular person. I think it can hit any one of us. And we don't even realize how it can impact our decisions and lead to dangerous situations, such as an unarmed Black police shooting. Somebody being aggressive or loud, dangerous, drug dealers, etc. A police officer may not even be unconscious that they're being racist towards that person. Or a lot of them don't feel like they're nervous and afraid. They got some police officers out here on the force don't even need to be on the force because they're afraid of Black people. I have seen that, and I'm like, why? Y'all know that man scared of Black people. He gonna shoot somebody. They just don't need to be on the police force. They're afraid. And if you're shaking like a leaf, you don't need to be on no police force. They need to find you another job. That's not what you're called to do. I just don't feel like that. Unconscious beliefs. Are we racist unconscious? That's a question we need to ask ourselves, because a lot of people say, well, I got white friends and I got black friends. I'm not racist, but are we unconscious? So unconscious, we don't know. Here's, according to Sanford University, routine stops in Oakland, California. 1 in 4 blacks were handcuffed, opposed to 1 in 15 whites. This is the same place where this little boy just got beat up. Oakland, California. I'm assuming it's Oakland. In Oakland, California, 1 in 4 blacks were handcuffed, as opposed to 1 in 15 whites. That's a big gap. Microaggressions were used more against blacks. They found officers use words like probation, parole, jail time, and arrest far more when they interact with blacks. Prejudicial bullying is when someone tries to gain control or overpower someone else by using hurtful or humiliating acts that target someone's race, religious, or sexuality. And it's stating, what can we do about it? We need to fight for policies to be changed. We definitely need to do that. We as citizens need to be fighting for policies to be changed. Enforce police departments to be more transparent and improve community relations. That's number 1. They want to say reform police training and put in place increment programs that are more based on community relations. Could that work? Possible. It depends on the police officer. Place police officers who are experienced and have records of good judgment in neighborhoods with higher crime rates. So that means these trigger happy police officers does not need to be in high crime rate neighborhoods, because you are just ready to shoot somebody. They need to leave you at the station working the desk. Implement consequences for unlawful and abusive police behaviors aimed at deterring them. I think they definitely need to do that and conduct a deeper evaluation based on an officer views, point of views, racist point of views. And they need to require implicit bias training, because a lot of times people are racist and don't and have no clue that they're really racist. They think they're not, but they are, you know. Teach citizens about implicit bias. That's something we all need to be more aware of. And then racism and police brutality are forms of prejudicial bullying. Racism and police brutality are forms of prejudicial bullying. Racial implement bias often leads to humiliating microaggression that target blacks, and that is also an act of bullying. Excessive use of power, overpower someone else is an act of bullying. What we seen on that film and them two police officers beating that young boy senseless was bullying. They didn't have to beat him. They already had accomplished their job. That was over. That was excessive use of force to overpower someone else is an act of bullying. Mistreating blacks because you believe your race is superior is racist, but also an act of bullying. Killing blacks because you feel they're animals is bullying. But most importantly, it's murder. So I'm hope going through these things could be helpful. Um, be mindful. It's bringing awareness. And a lot of this information I got from Sherry Gordon. And it's at the verywellfamily.com. Learning the different types of prejudicial bullying and how it can affect people. And I think that's something that we all need to be mindful about. But that's another topic. I'm not going to go into that today on the how hurtful it can be to some people. Racial bullying. There are three types of. I do want to. Okay. Racial bullying. We've discussed that, and racial bullying is still an issue in school. Racial bullying singles out people because of skin, race, and ethnicity background. Religious bully is lack of knowledge and understanding about traditional beliefs and the difference in people's faith can lead to religious bullying. The LGBTQ plus bullying refers to being physically or verbally harassed because of your sexual nature. So we need to just be mindful of what we say, what we do. Try not to hurt nobody's feelings. I know sometimes we got to learn to stop judging people by their race or because they don't look like us, or it's a form of hatred, and I don't want to hate anybody. I guess my Bible teaches me to love everybody. I want to find good in everybody, even when I see bad. And I do believe there are some good police officers out here. I know some definitely in my city. I know a lot of them, but I also know it's some bad apples in the bunch that needs to be weeded. Just needs to be weeded out. But And I'm quite sure everybody's got some good police officers in their city, but you see some bad ones too, because that's just nature, you know. And it's like the bad police officers make it hard for the good police officers. And then the good police officers won't tell on the bad police officers to get them off the force. I don't understand it. Because if I can see it, why you can't see it? You just not saying anything to your boss because it feels like everybody's in it together, and that needs to stop. So we'll see what happens down the road. Hopefully things will get better. Uh, but for right now, it's still happening. So I'm gonna leave it right there. I enjoyed having this conversation with y'all. Uh, I like doing police different videos and stuff like that. So I may do a little bit more of that. Um, because I think some reform definitely needs to go on in the police department. I think that I want to go over how it makes people feel and what people go through after being targeted by police. They don't understand how you can hurt people and their mental state because of something you've done as a police officer to them. So I would definitely like to have that conversation. Police need to be more aware of how they're leaving citizens out here after being encountered with a police officer that did not know how to do his job. And you were being racist or you were being cruel. You don't know what you did to that child. Especially when our teenagers are out here driving at 16 and 17 and 18 and 19 and 20. They're still young and getting encounter with police officers. You, as adults, got to have those conversations with your children because you want them to come back home safely. Some things can be prevented and some things can't. But I think a lot of it can. We just got to have the conversation with our children. If you get pulled, stop, don't run. Um, Comply with what the police officer is asking you to do. And I'm going to leave it right there. Y'all have a good evening. And I enjoyed y'all. Y'all mean a lot to me. I enjoy doing what I do. Uh, I enjoy the comments. So subscribe to my channel and get to know me more. And come up and talk and get to know me. I enjoy that. And if you have any ideas, then tell me, because maybe I'll switch up and do some of the ideas. All right. Thank you. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your day.